Yes,
Can you see that very well?
I sure can. Yes, yes. Guilty until proven innocent.
All right.
Yes, sir.
And the reason I wanted to share this is a point that we try to get across to our drivers daily, that big trucks equal big bucks, and you are guilty until proven innocent. In America, it's supposed to be the other way around.
Correct,
But
correct.
when you drive a Class 8 motor vehicle, you better back off when you can. You better
Correct.
realize that guy is not paying attention, because you are going to be guilty.
Right, right. In the eyes of the public right now, that is true. That's correct.
Yeah.
So I agree 100%. I'm assuming these emails are all okay.
All the same thing.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. No problem there. Everyone, once again, this is episode 2 of Happy Truck Talk with Rick Ruckman from Happy Trucking. Mr. Rick, happy Friday. A lot of happies.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we left off last week. We're going to dive right into it because, as we know, we don't have a lot of time. But we left off last week looking at one of your dash cam videos that we were going to break down. So let me pull that up real quick here. Let's see here.
And we provided another great one this week.
Well, if you want, we can dive into that one. I actually had that.
That would probably be closer on your email.
Yes, yes. Let's bring that up right now. I'm going to wait for that, and I'm going to share the screen so that we both can see it. Share.
While you're bringing that up, I will mention that video, it's a 40-second clip, which is the time that we can get from Verizon Connect pretty easily.
Okay.
And the first 36 seconds or so are, our driver just in the left lane catching up with this truck.
Correct. See that? Yep. And can you see the video yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
Here he
Obviously,
comes.
0 indicator lights on, no turn signals showing that he's coming into that lane. And did we actually make contact there?
We did not make any contact, and our driver was able to determine that fellow was on the phone.
Okay.
And as soon as you'll see him at the end of the video make a beeline toward the shoulder.
Yes.
But look at this guardrail coming up on the left, Steve.
I know. That's why I'm slowing it down for us here.
What an absolute close call.
I mean, look at the space. Yeah, the space obviously at the nose of the truck right now. Our truck is not going to squeeze in there, obviously. So this truck obviously realized, or the driver realized, if the other vehicle realized, yeah, I made a mistake and need to get control, get back over. Our driver has his brights on, which makes sense to get his attention. But like you said, is there a continuation video then, another 40 seconds after this?
No, it's all over that quickly. And the incident happened that quickly, and it was over that quickly because our driver tried to get the errant driver on the CB, and that fellow didn't have one or chose not to answer.
Okay.
And we just continued, and we're very thankful that we were able to continue.
Exactly. Right. Right. But you're saying, okay, so as our driver passed, we're assuming he went over the shoulder, slowed down, and stopped his vehicle at that point? Or at least slowed down enough so our driver could see that he was on his phone?
Yes. The red truck driver was not on a headset, was not on a hands-free device. Jeez. He was, when our guy went by, he saw this.
Yeah, exactly.
Talking.
Right. That's great. Wonderful. Okay. Well, let's do this while we're talking. So, all right, your driver, what time of day is this here? Does it show the time on here?
This is 8:32 of the evening.
There it is. Okay. Eastern
8:32
Standard.
in Tennessee.
Okay, just 2 days ago, roughly, not even two full
Yes.
days ago. Okay, and your driver contacted you. You addressed this with him the next day. Did you get an alert
No, he called me. He called
immediately?
me right then,
Okay,
and he said, "Mark the time and look for this video." And I spent about 30 minutes and ended up having to email Verizon Connect to get that particular clip,
okay,
and received it later on that evening.
gotcha, gotcha. Okay,
But
actually,
what's really interesting, I have to take this moment and just say, back in 2017 when ELDs and all this new technology was mandated for us, a lot of folks were, there's a lot of pushback and they were
oh, sure
very
there was.
resistant. But here is a great example of, imagine if there would have been some type of contact and the other truck would have taken off, and our driver is calling and saying, well, you're never going to believe what happened. Well, we don't have to have that conversation now because I can see it.
Exactly.
And as our agent, you can see that. And I'm telling you, man, these things are the greatest tools to save us
Correct.
and great for training. I just cannot sing the praises enough about. We have forward facing cameras, and I really want to have rear facing cameras.
Right. Along, especially, yeah, along the sides of the truck, you're saying, basically?
Yes,
Yeah, looking for a
yes.
lot of the merge, he said, she said, he said, she said, incidences, right? Especially coming on ramps.
Well,
We've seen.
the if you'll find the video that we
I'm
talked
looking for
about
that.
last
I'm
week,
actually looking for that. I'm not sure where I put that now. Let's see.
that ended that conversation. Can you
I
search just
know.
by happy in video?
Yeah, let's see here. This is making me. Let's go back here. Maybe on. But keep, yes, actually, okay. I'll find that. We'll get to that. No question, 100%. Did you see the Verizon little blurb that I sent you regarding how basically, telematics, so to speak, GPS have really begun to, just like you were commenting on it, how it's helped the industry. It's helped for situations just like this. It helps you with, handling of your drivers, training situations, training events, for your other drivers as well. So there's no question in this video, there is nothing your driver could have done. Why is this here? It's saying it's not able to go anymore. Why is that? That's weird. Okay, sorry. I'm looking for that video. In the meantime, let's do this. Let's get rid of that. Are you still okay? Stop sharing. I'm going to bring up a couple of the quick articles I wanted to discuss. One of which, and I believe it's right here, is this article about a towing company, good old towing companies, these record companies that have, holding the truck hostage. Look at the amount for that particular one, $41,000. Happened, I don't like to read verbatim, but this happened, of course, down or over in the Chicagoland area. Trucking company. I don't want to put names and stuff on here, but long story short, I think I sent you that article. I don't know if you had a chance to read that or not. Where, of course, the local authorities state that this particular wrecking company is not associated with them, should not have been the ones to come to the scene, but they are on police scanners. They were one of the first ones to arrive, and therefore got the business. And to this day, I don't think that this is it's still under investigation and so on and so forth. It looks like a local station had covered it, and But I mean, 41,000, you've had, I'm sure, some hefty tow bills before in your time. How do trucking companies, stop that? How can you control that from being gouged like that? I mean, what steps can a trucking company take short of having their own record that could come to the scene? What do you suggest for other trucking companies out there?
OIDA, Owner Operator Independent Driver Association, a few
Okay.
years ago investigated a local trucking company in West Virginia, and
Mm-hmm.
they were able to get a lot of that carrier's money back because they had been overcharged by a tow company.
Mm-hmm.
When you're out in the world and you have an accident, a lot of times we as a carrier, Steve, don't have any say or any control, because when the authorities make that 911 call and they contact a towing company. We had a situation a few years ago where a driver uh, ran off the road and was blocking the entrance to a firehouse. Not a good place to try to turn around. And the police called the tow truck, and it was an area where we had a relationship with the towing company. And when the driver called and told us what was going on, I called and I said, "Hey, we're going to send our own, relationship towing company out." And the police said, "You can't. We've already contacted the towing company, and the towing company charged us about 3 times what our guy would have done." And when I objected, they said, "You don't have any say in this because this is a 911 call, and this is a PSC regulated situation. We have 911 rates. That's what you're going to pay, or we'll impound your equipment and keep it."
Wow. Yeah.
So to answer your question directly, I'm not really sure how, when we're out away from home, that we can avoid that.
Well, let's see. I think this is it here. Let's double check. And here it is. Okay, let me share my screen again here. I did pull up the video that we were discussing just the end of last week. And once again, here's one of your drivers' trucks coming up to we'll just let it play right now, up to a toll plaza. And obviously getting into his lane, we've got a RV vacationer that doesn't really matter, realizes that they don't have it. Well, evidently this lane obviously is closed. So they had to get over because maybe they don't have an easy pass or whatever, and come into although it does say easy pass only. So we touched upon it. Obviously, there's been damage to your truck, some damage to the RV. I'm going to let you probably take it from here because I know last week you started to talk about how long it took to flag down this RV who did not stop. Don't know how, after the contact is made showing that and if we run full speed, he had to feel that. I mean, it jerked the entire RV.
Yes.
So why he did not get through the toll plaza or booth and pull over to assess damage, what I hit, all so on and so forth. But I'll let you go from there, and I can rewind it if you want. But
Well, it took 2 states. We were in West Virginia when this happened,
right.
and the pickup towing the camper continued, and it wasn't until he was in Virginia that the Commonwealth of Virginia folks were able to stop him and detain him and verify the damage on the camper. And again, I'm going to sound like an advertisement, Steve, for Verizon Connect, but doggone, this conversation, I had the conversation. We got the information from the fellow that owned the camper and who his insurance company, who his carrier was. And I contacted them and I said, "You're insured hit one of our tractor trailers and we would like to file a claim and have an adjuster assigned and go from there."
Right.
And the insurance company said, "No dice. We're not. Here's a guy on the phone that said our insured hit your truck. We get these calls all the time."
Mm-hmm.
Once I sent them this video, it absolutely changed the conversation.
Right.
It was, they called me and said, "Oh, you know what? We had our wires crossed, and we want to make good on this. And where can we get an adjuster today? Yesterday, we'll send them if we could turn back time. Let's take care of this." And it very much changed the conversation, and they took care of the damage that they caused to our vehicle.
Right. And that just happened, I think, just before Thanksgiving, just about 2 months ago.
Yes.
And truck has been repaired.
We're still waiting.
Really?
The
Yeah,
supply chain for parts affects all of us.
Right. And that's the problem with the general public too. They don't understand that, this guy obviously has zero respect, or he knows he had to hit you. He was coming up on you. So, and to continue on and not even have the decency to stop and then finally get flagged down by, like you said, two states away, roughly.
The next state over.
Yeah.
But
state over.
Doggone, he almost got away with it, Steve. He almost got away with it.
How?
Because in West Virginia, our fellows didn't catch him.
Yeah.
And only because when you call 911, they're only interested in, what's happening right now that maybe we could prevent or send somebody out. Oh, somebody hit you on the road. Sure, pal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we had to get 2 other phone numbers and do a lot of digging, and time was against us. And so the guy in the camper nearly got away without any, follow through on this.
Right. Right. Now, is the truck sitting right now waiting for the parts?
No, as a matter of fact, that's the very same truck as we just watched the video that the red truck almost hit him.
Oh, wow.
Same truck, same driver.
Okay. What I want to let, everybody that's maybe watching this in the future here, what happens to a trucking company when a situation like this, anybody watching this would say, okay, did a little bit of damage to your truck, but you can still use the truck. What if that wasn't the case? I guess what I'm getting at is, what are the ramifications to a trucking company after a little incident? People would look at this like, it's a little fender bender. Okay. But now starts the time ticking for parts. Let's say that he shoved the bumper. I know you mentioned the bumper was totally pushed out away from the truck. There's many times though that the bumper is not, and it's actually pushed into the tire, possibly damaging the tire. Now you're down. We've got that wrecker bill possibly that we're looking at. We just got done talking about wreckers. If the truck would have to be towed back to your lot and now it's sitting, what happens in that situation? You're limited with drivers. You only have, let's say right now, you probably have the same number of drivers as you do trucks. You don't have extra trucks sitting around, right? So this driver that's down doesn't have a truck to drive, correct? Is that something, and I know I mentioned it to you, that, in this case, it didn't happen, but in future, and I know in the past, we've talked about this, that so-called downtime, where you've got a truck sitting that's still got insurance to be paid, everything. That driver's sitting, he's going to want money. It's not his fault that someone else hit him. It wasn't his fault in that accident. Have you had in the past, this case here, this still could be a downtime because once the parts get in, it's going to go in the shop. What's the time frame maybe for this particular repair? Do you have any idea yet?
It should be less than a week
Okay,
because we're
it's
just
still a
going
week.
to we're just going to spot the hood, match the paint, put a new bumper on it, and be able to go on. But there are all there are other repercussions too. For example, we really don't like having the truck out on the road right now with damage. Yes, we push the bumper back, but it's still wrinkled, and you pull into your customer location, and oh, what's this guy with this beat up truck bringing my product here? We'd rather
Does
be
it
nice and
raise a
tall
red
and shiny.
flag? Does it raise a red flag to DOT driving by?
Very
Like,
much.
hey, you got a damaged truck. Did that happen just recently? What other problems do you have with your truck? I'm going to pull you over and do an inspection. So you're right. There's another repercussion that normal people that are just driving down the road in their cars don't even think about, right? This guy here, he probably has his RV fixed at this point and he's just living his life as normal. But the setback that happens to your company, your trucking company, continues. You just mentioned just a minute ago, it's only going to be a week. Okay. So for that week, though, we've got a driver that's sitting, doesn't have his truck to drive. There's no revenue coming in off of that truck that you're counting on. That's something we need to make sure we document. And we talked about this and provide that in the claim, additional documentation for the claim that you've got against, this guy's insurance company. So, and I'm hoping you do that, because I know once again, your driver's not gonna be happy sitting, how do you handle that with the driver when it wasn't his fault and he's gonna have to sit now for a week?
We usually have an extra truck,
Okay,
and so we'll put him in the other truck, and that's so inconvenient for the guy because you have all your things in your truck,
right.
and so what do I take over for this week? And invariably you forget something, and it's an inconvenience,
But
and
if you
through
have
no
an
fault of
extra
his.
truck, what if that truck by the time it's ready to go in the shop is down for some reason, right? So
Yes,
do you pay the driver for the week? How do you make that right as well?
we have breakdown pay. If a truck breaks down, it's not his fault, but we pay the driver, and we would do the same in a case like this because you really have to do those things just to keep the employees. They
Yeah,
do a really good job. They're away from home, and even though it's nice to have a couple days at home, once you're wired for being out on the road, you want to be out on
right.
the road, and that's how you earn a living. So we always take care of them if they have to sit like that.
Makes sense. Makes sense. But once again, whatever you take care of him from a financial or monetary standpoint, part of that downtime claim. So as far as that goes. So the other article that I had emailed you had to do with uh, mechanics, techs finding and keeping tomorrow's technicians. I don't know if you had a chance to read that. In this article, it talks about how, a decade ago, the average age of a diesel mechanic was about in his mid 50s. Now it's mid 40s. Now it doesn't sound like a lot, but what they're saying is basically, you've got 10 years less of experience roughly on the average mechanic. Now I know you've had issues finding, keeping, maintaining mechanics. The article just, talks about, new technicians. It looks like you've got, a lot of these technical colleges want you to spend $60,000 in 4 years of education to become certified diesel mechanics. So that's obviously going to diminish the future technicians coming into this field. but is there anything you'd want to, touch upon? I know once again, you've had issues with mechanics and stuff, but how do you see that going? Because I see, and this is something you can obviously help me with, but I just think 5 years ago, maybe the average hourly diesel shop labor cost was well below 100. I think probably maybe 75, $80 an hour. Maybe I'm wrong. Now it's skyrocketed, I'm sure, right? It's in the 125 to 140 range.
Talked to a guy today, and his rate was 122 per hour. And I
Mhm.
thought to myself when he told me, hot ziggity, man, this is a home run, because I was expecting, we have another truck in a different shop, and their labor rate is either 160 or 170 per hour. So we were having a conversation in the office today, Steve, with one of our vendors, and he was explaining, we were talking about this very thing in the future of technicians. And he said, what a lot of the manufacturers are going to is they'll have one guy in the central location, and the technician will have um, a camera on his head, and maybe a camera on his hands, and he will be taking whatever the unit is apart, trying to diag it. And the guy back at the central location will say, okay, test this. Maybe he'll tell him, get your own meter out, look for these leads. And while he's doing that, that guy at the central location has 600 technicians working under his direction in 6 other dealerships. And that's one way to circumvent not having people trained enough, is to have, one guy directing, and these other fellows are the hand, feet, and the worker
That's
bees.
interesting. Yes, yes.
And, I think we're getting to that point because the knowledge of what to test and what the reading should be, that seems to be a big lack.
Well, and just the discrepancy you just mentioned between 122 versus 160, 165, circles back to this technician article, finding, maintaining techs. I have a feeling that, the guy that might be at the 160 range now is either shorthanded or is having to pay, obviously, the veteran technicians quite a bit more because they know they're more valuable now than ever, versus a new guy just coming out of school. So, unfortunately, it's just like anything, you got the law of demand. And unfortunately, you as a trucking company has to pay that rate. It's just where location wise, 122 versus 160 in West Virginia, two different shops.
122 was in Tennessee today,
Okay.
and the 160 to 170 was in Virginia yesterday.
Hmm.
So we're talking, very similar geographic
That's
locations
true. That's
uh,
true.
for this to take place. But it
Right.
also brings up the question, or one of the things that we've learned is we have tried sometimes to throw money at a problem and think that, okay, well, here's a, I think this guy will be okay, so let's pay him a lot more than what the going rate in our area is. That does not mean that he's going to fill a
It's
five
going to
gallon bucket.
translate. Right. Right. It's not going to translate to, I got you. Okay. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, last week we got cut off. So I think what we're going to do now is, we've talked about the two articles. We've talked a little bit about the dash cams. I think we'll call it quits for this Friday, and look forward to next Friday. We'll come up with some more new topics and some additional dash cam footage that we can break down, and we'll go from there. I appreciate your time, Rick, and you have a good weekend. Once
Just
again,
remember, when you're driving, want to share this with everybody that's in a Class A vehicle.
yes,
Remember, guilty until proven innocent drive accordingly, back off when you can.
For sure.
Don't,
Speed and space
uh,
management. That's right.
yeah,
That's right. So, and if you take the G, the U, the PI, I guess that's guppy, right?
yeah.
Guppy. All right. We'll talk to you later. I appreciate it, Rick. Thank you.
All right, Steve.
Okay. Bye-bye.